Right now, we are in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma.
Mhm.
Sitting next to me is my wonderful host for last night and tonight. We're sitting on the couch that I slept on. She is a bona fide Okie, unfortunately not from Muskogee, but from Altus, which is the second best city in Oklahoma.
Oh,
So
yes.
it'll have to do. Tell us about Altus and tell us about the town you come from.
Altus has a population of around 20 to 25,000. It's not completely hillbilly because we have an Air Force base, so there's like a lot of like different kinds of people there. But I mean, when you get to like the people who have been there a long time, there can be kind of hillbilly, like farmers raising pigs, selling pigs to slaughter, things like that.
Can you do a Oklahoma accent? I was in the Oklahoma Capitol building, and this guy asked me to take a picture. He's wearing a cowboy hat, and I swear I had difficulty understanding him. But he didn't have like a southern accent. It was something totally unique.
Oh well,
But he
I'm
told me that he was from a small town in Oklahoma.
I'm bad at accents, but I'll try.
Ah.
You ain't from around here, are you? Y'all need to come back. You hear?
All right. Well, okay, that's pretty good. So what brought you to the big city?
College. I went to college in a town, just a suburb, probably 10 miles from here, called Edmond, and I got my master's there. And I mean, it was kind of just the next step to live here.
What's that college famous for? What college is it?
It's called University of Central Oklahoma.
What's famous about UCO?
We have Paralympic teams. Paralympic volleyball. They went to where were they at in the Olympics this year?
I don't know.
So it's in my head somewhere.
Mhm.
They went there and they lost. The men's team did, but I think the women's team did well.
So some cities, when they're trying to brag, they say we're an Olympic city. But when Oklahoma City brags, they go we're a Paralympic city. What did you get your master's in?
Speech pathology.
And tell us a little bit about what speech pathology is and what you do with it.
Speech pathology encompasses a lot of things. Most people think of speech therapists in a school working on R's and S's. In the schools, we'll also work with kids with, autism, Down syndrome, kids with language impairments. We work with swallowing and voice disorders. We'll work in a rehab facility or a hospital on cognition or swallowing. I work in a private practice where I go to kids' homes, and a lot of my kids have autism. Some of them just have speech disorders, but very few are just that. I work on social skills too. We just do a lot of things with communication.
So, tell us about autism and how that affects your speech.
Autism is it's characterized by language and social disorder. It's a spectrum, so it can be very different. Some of my kids are nonverbal. Some, they have still not. It's not like they are very low cognition, but it can be affected some. With my kids who are nonverbal, we work with communication devices, like they might have a button they press that talks for them. Some of my kids with autism, it's hard to tell right away that they have it, and they can talk pretty normally, so it can be very different with their language. But a lot of times they might have the desire to make connections socially, but they don't really have the skills. Sometimes they can't, it's hard to see things from someone else's point of view. Things like that.
Do you have a simple game or exercise that we could do right now for speech?
A speech game?
Uh-huh.
Actually, can I go get my bag?
Yeah, go get your bag.
I brought it in today. I never did.
I'm just an Okie from Muskogee. I don't know how the song goes, but while the audience is staring at me.
Something with kids who are nonverbal, you can work on is matching. So we have some matching cards.
Okay.
And something else I do with them, they really like these cards.
So I would take the school bus and I would match
You
it.
can't just take it. You have to say, I want bus.
But I'm nonverbal, so I can't say that.
Okay, if you're nonverbal, you can't. And then I give it to you.
Could I just like point? Like
you can do it either way.
I want bus.
Alexander put was same. Good job, you did it. See? You got it.
Learning is fun.
Oh, that's not putting with same. This is putting with same. You try. Oh, good job.
And but what about like a speech exercise though? Like when you're saying words, do you have something like that?
Yes. Hold on. It's worth it. This is the Kaufman cards for children with apraxia. A lot of kids with autism have apraxia. So these are very helpful. They're categorized by like CV, like consonant, vowel. We can practice some. And on the back, you'll see it breaks it down to where it's easier to say. If you couldn't say dino, you'd say dio.
Dio.
Or dine.
Dine.
Oh.
Dino.
Mm-hmm.
Dinosaur.
No, just dino.
Oh.
We say beetle.
Beetle.
Yep, beetle.
And what would be the common way to mispronounce these?
Kids with apraxia, they don't have like common errors. It's just, it just gets jumbled up. So it's not necessarily going to have a mispronunciation. It's just that they have trouble saying. I mean, it's also a spectrum, but.
Oh, okay. I actually, back in the day in college, one time I told a teacher who had this like hardcore anti-technology policy that I had dysgraphia, which is where it's a similar thing. It's like you have this disorder where it's difficult to handwrite because things like get jumbled up when you're handwriting.
Yeah.
But therefore, if you type, it's easier.
Oh, you told them that?
I did tell her that, but then I felt bad. So even though she gave me a pass to use my computer, I only ended up using it once in the class.
Oh.
So I guess I can relate a little bit.
With your lie.
With my lie. I did do 10 minutes of research so I could pass in the lie.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you. So tell us about Oklahoma City. How long have you been living here for? The big OKC? I've
lived in the metro area since 2012, but I've lived in OKC city limits since August.
Okay. So how has it been living in the city limits?
Oh, I love this area. I'm so close to everything.
There's lots of Family Dollars.
There is a lot of Family Dollars around here. There's like 3 within like 2 miles. But I'm close to, the memorial, to like cool parts of town. And living within the city, I don't have to get in traffic a lot. Like I feel like I just feel like I'm close to everything. Whereas when I was living in Edmond or in the suburb south of OKC, it was like I was driving all the time.
Are there any big controversies in Oklahoma City right now? Anything in the news?
We're having, yes, there is. I don't know if it's in the news so much, but it's important to me. Oklahoma Healthcare Authority is looking into dropping optional benefits from Medicaid and Medicare, including like dialysis, organ transplant benefits, but including also things like occupational, speech, and physical therapy. They're just looking to get rid of it. And
making healthcare great again.
Yes, because the budget cuts are horrible.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's going to affect like nursing homes. Like they'll be catastrophic if their plan goes through. So I've like emailed my legislators, and I'm going to go to some meetings, and so are my coworkers. Like it's a huge deal. Um,
So, who did you vote for this last election?
I voted for Hillary.
And you're a little outnumbered out here in Oklahoma, right?
Yes, but within the metro, you will meet a lot of people who have similar ideas who are more central than.
This is the refuge. Do you want to stay in Oklahoma City?
Not right now. I'm looking to move, but I think I would want to move back here or near here in the long term.
Oh, really?
Hmm.
Oh, okay. Where do you want to move to in the short term?
California.
Where in California?
San Diego.
So what do you think of Donald Trump?
Donald Trump is an interesting feller.
Feller. There we go.
I think he has inspired a lot of xenophobia and racism, and people might have already felt this way, but I feel like once he was elected, people felt like it was okay to act out on that. My friend was on a dating app, and she's from Iran. Her family is. She was born in America. And the night Trump was elected, she got a message, and it was like, go the F back to your country. And it was like, it was scary. And, was it in Washington?
I don't what.
That in the anti-Semitic vandalism went up by 500%. I feel like it was somewhere northwest.
I think that was all around the country.
Well, it was insane, and I feel like right after he was elected, it was pretty bad, but it's died down. At least it seems like some. But I mean, there's a lot of crazy things going on.
So what were the big political issues in like the hot button topics in Oklahoma, like the last few years?
Gay marriage, for sure.
What did people say about gay marriage?
Well, like some of the most crazy things, like I was telling you, was like the Christian Holocaust. Like, how can
it's pretty heavy metal right there, Christian Holocaust.
How can you even say that? That is so offensive. But like God created Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve, and people like correlate somehow to gay people getting married to like, well, if we let them do that, where's the sanctimony of marriage? We could let pedophiles get married to children.
Yeah. I mean, why not just marry, like, I want to go marry a rock.
Yeah, they were like, oh, can you just like marry a cow now? Because that makes sense. Same thing, right?
I don't know. I think it'd be pretty cool to live in a society where people can marry cows, to be honest, right?
Yeah.
I mean, life can be so boring, and you're just driving down the street and you see somebody like putting a ring, like a giant ring onto a cow's hoof. I'd be like, wow, diversity is the spice of life.
Yeah.
So what else should I ask? How'd you get into couch surfing? Why are you letting this random stranger from the internet sleep in your house?
My best friend, Jordan Johnson, has always been like a little more free-spirited than me, and I'm always like kind of behind her in how free-spirited I am. So she let people do couch surfing and Airbnb a while ago, and I was like, wow, that's crazy. At the time I was living with my grandma too, so I could have done that if I wanted to. But actually just like 2 weekends ago, I stayed at a couch surfing house with her, and it was so fun. And I like doing nice things for people and like accommodating people, and I was like, why not try it? So I just signed up like a week ago, and I've had 2 people.
So you're pretty like West Coast person, very far from the West Coast. Like you're a vegan. What other things do you do that are outside of the norm from Oklahoma?
Vegan. I'm more liberal. I'm kind of like giving. Like, I don't know, like chill.
Did you have a coming out to your like friends and family in Altus where you're like, so I'm not gonna eat animals anymore?
No, I didn't tell people for a little bit because I was like, I don't want to.
A little worried.
I just like didn't want to be like I'm vegan, like I'm special now. Like I guess I was embarrassed somehow.
Well, I mean that's impressive because usually if a person's vegan, I mean they have to like physically have to tell a person every 10 minutes or they'll like get sick.
Yeah, I mean it's
That's how they are able to like avoid protein deficiency is by
right.
telling somebody they're a vegan every 10
Right.
minutes.
I actually take some vitamins that like suppress that, so I'm doing
Oh,
good.
okay, that suppress the urge?
Yeah.
Ah, you should go to Portland or Seattle and sell those vitamins. I think you could. I mean, there's a need for them. I don't know how well you
Well,
do though.
like here I feel like there's more vegans there, but here the need's probably greater because you don't want to sell yourself out so much here, whereas there they probably are more proud of it and they stick together.
That's a good business mind. So, how long have you been running your own private practice for?
Oh, I don't run my own.
Or how like been operating?
I work my boss. I work for a company and I started in June, so just shy of a year ago. I love my boss. She's my ultimate role model.
Yeah, shout out promotion, please. um, so tell us one thing that you really like about the people of Oklahoma, and tell us one thing you really don't like about the people of Oklahoma.
Sure. Something I like about the people here, like a lot of people are friendly. Like I always feel pretty safe here. I accidentally leave my door unlocked to my car and like nothing happens.
Oh, that's nice.
Also, something about having being in a big town, but that's not so big, is that like there's like we have a running group, and I know in huger towns like the running groups don't thrive as much because it's too big for everyone to meet up. But it's like smaller here, and since there's not as many runners, like people can I don't know, there's more of a sense of community. And the same thing with like the vegans here. Like if I went to Austin, a lot of people are vegan there, so you wouldn't really, it would just be like another thing about you, like not something that sets you apart to be friends with someone. Whereas here, like a lot of vegans here are like really close because there's not as many of us, and you can have that sense of community a little more.
Okay, but what's one thing you don't like?
A lot of people here, they'll have, they want to be good people, but, and maybe not Oklahoma City, but even maybe more smaller towns even, they have the right heart, but they haven't seen maybe enough from different people's perspectives that like they really don't understand like why maybe some people were scared after Trump was elected, or like they think that we don't really have a race problem because they don't see it. They only see things from their point of view and their community's point of view, but their community is people like them. So I would say that's an issue. There's not as much perspective taking going on.
Okay. So what did your parents do?
My parents are both teachers.
What did your dad do?
He was a social studies teacher for a long time, and then he retired, and he does special ed teaching now.
Oh, that's cool.
And my mom's a special ed teacher.
Oh, okay,
Mhm.
interesting. I actually have some roots here in Oklahoma. My one of my on my dad's mom's side, came out from Oklahoma during the Great Depression. The Dust Bowl happens. They were like farmers way out in rural northeast Oklahoma, and so they drove over to California, going to get work on a boron mine. Um, I actually have a number of family members that are buried here. My great grandma, lots of great uncles and great aunts. I don't know I have no idea where my great grandpa on that side is buried. But they're actually buried just a few miles north of the tribal headquarters of the Cherokee in this unincorporated middle of nowhere farming community. And because my great grandma was like, I have to be buried in Oklahoma soil. Um,
It's so
So
grand.
Oklahoma's really interesting because way back in the day when the first guy who was going to make America great again, Mr. Andrew Jackson, they had the Indian Removal Act where they removed the five civilized
Hmm.
tribes in the southeastern United States to make room for settlers. And they moved them out to Oklahoma,
Right.
and they said all of Oklahoma actually will be yours forever. Of course, that didn't,
Uh,
work out because
because there's oil.
yeah, because oil came. Actually, I was in the for real. I was in the Capitol building, and there was a mural where it was like an Indian with like a feather headdress, and then like a oil guy, and they're like both like panning. They're both like searching for oil in the river together. So maybe a little bit of
Togetherness.
yeah, a little bit of revisionist history there. Um, so here's Oklahoma has a bit of tragedy in it. I mean, so when the tribes are coming over, the worst. Well, there was the Seminole Wars, the Seminole being a tribe in Florida, but the worst was, of course, the Cherokee with the Trail of Tears. Um, a large number of Cherokee moved willingly, but a number didn't want to, and they finally were like, "Well, we're going to force you to, and we're going to force you to right now." So I believe they marched during the winter,
Hmm.
and I think of about 16,000 people that marched. About 2,000 to 6,000 died.
Wow.
And then, of course, only a mile and a half south of here is the memorial to the Oklahoma City bombing,
Hmm.
which was the largest instance of terrorism prior to 9/11 and remains the largest instance of domestic terrorism when they blew up the Oklahoma City Federal Building. And I actually just looked it up. I think it was 168
Hmm.
people died. Um, so that's a pretty cool memorial. Definitely worth coming out to see
Oh
Oklahoma
yeah.
for. But it sounds like maybe OKC is perhaps the place for all these hipsters in Seattle and San
Yeah.
Diego that are tired of their high rents
Yeah.
and they want to come out here and they it's a
It
diamond in the rough, Oklahoma
really
City.
is. If you aren't like a teacher or in therapy, yeah, come on down. If you don't depend on Medicare or education system, then come on down.
So is there anything else you want to say about the fine state of Oklahoma? Any fun facts for us?
Well, you were talking about the Trail of Tears, and they came over, and then there was oil here. And my
Mhm.
aunt showed me this last night that there was like some horrendous things that went on once they found oil here. Like there were some Native Americans who were like on oil land and they got rich, and there were some white people who were also rich who like wanted their money. So like one thing that happened, there was a Native American woman and a, a nephew of a big businessman married into her family. He married her. And then once they got married, like a string of murders started happening, like where they were murdering her whole family. They murdered like her mom, her sister, and then people who started to investigate it, they got murdered. So it was like horrendous, like just for
Wow.
money. Yeah.
Is there a name for this guy?
I don't
Or
remember. I can find out really
the
fast.
Oklahoma Strangler? The Oklahoma Black Gold
No, it's
Killer?
like not even like a known like a really big thing that's known. Like I just found out about it yesterday.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of the TV show The Beverly Hillbillies?
Hmm.
Do you know where the Beverly Hillbillies are from? Do you think they could have been from Oklahoma?
I thought like it. I don't know.
Oh no, they were from Tennessee.
Yeah.
But there's no oil in Tennessee,
Is there
right?
not?
Well, so I'm thinking like, where's the place with oil and with hillbillies? I'm thinking the Beverly Hillbillies should have been from
Yeah.
Oklahoma if they were not in fact. All right, well I think we'll leave it with that. I just like to say one last thing. Rest in peace, Seattle. Supersonics.
Thunder
Gone,
up.
gone, but not forgotten. Death to the Oklahoma City Thunder.
No.
May the Oklahoma City Thunder burn like in a thousand fires.
No, we love
Um,
Westbrook. We don't like Katie anymore, I guess.
All right, that's it. I'll see you guys in Texas.